Hello, I'm Bill Sullivan. I'm the Executive Director of the Samuel Waxman Cancer Research Foundation. Thank you for your interest in the first ever global walk to flatten the cancer curve. We are hopeful that by the end of this short video, you will be inspired to join our virtual trek around the world to raise international awareness and vital funds for cancer research. For 45 years, the Samuel Waxman Cancer Research Foundation has been a leader in funding collaborative, cross-institutional research to identify and correct abnormal gene function that cause cancer. To date, we have awarded more than $100 million in cancer research, funding some of the brightest minds in the world. Sadly, despite all the medical advances over the last few decades, the incidence of cancer is rising around the world. This is because cancer is a disease of aging, and as we live longer, thanks in part to new treatments and discoveries, the global burden of cancer goes up. In fact, more than 60% of Americans diagnosed with cancer are 65 and older. To reverse this trend, to flatten the curve, as we now say, we must understand the factors that make advanced age a risk factor for getting and dying from cancer. This is where you come in. Like for many nonprofits, the past year has been a challenge. Many of our fundraising events had to be canceled or reimagined at the last minute as online events to comply with COVID safety recommendations. This has created a huge gap in desperately needed money to help us fund the next scientific breakthrough in cancer treatment, perhaps even discovering a cure. Participation in the walk is easy. Simply register online, and then between June 30th and July 10th, you will track your activities, steps, and together we will accumulate 25,000 miles, enough steps to walk around the planet. You can get your steps in by walking, running, cycling, swimming, or even cleaning your house. Then, as you reach your distance milestones, update your friends and family on your progress and encourage them to donate. By signing up today, every step you will take and every dollar you raise will bring us one step closer to flattening the cancer curve. Before we go, I want to introduce you to Dr. Samuel Waxman, CEO and founder of the Samuel Waxman Cancer Research Foundation. He will be chatting with Dr. David Sabgar, CEO and founder of Walk with a Doc, our partners in the global walk to flatten the cancer curve.
Good morning. This is Sam Waxman. I am a physician and a cancer research scientist and the founder and CEO of the Samuel Waxman Cancer Research Foundation. We have been involved in looking at abnormal gene function and new therapies to understand and treat cancer in a minimally toxic manner. Our foundation is over 45 years old, and we've funded research laboratories throughout the world with an amount of over $100 million. And today I'll be speaking with David Sabgar, who is the founder of Walk with a Doc, and I'll introduce David to say a few words about his important foundation.
Thank you, Dr. Waxman. Yes, David Sabgar. I'm a cardiologist, and I started Walk with a Doc 16 years ago in Columbus, Ohio, where we are still based, but we are now blessed to have teammates, thousands of them around the world in 37 countries. And Walk with a Doc's mission is to inspire communities through movement and social connection.
So Dave, I think we should go through a little bit about how we got to know each other, because it's kind of neat, and I think we'll find that we both have discovered something important. And so I was introduced to you by a mutual friend who said to me one day, "You've got to hear about this amazing work that this doctor in Columbus is doing." And he went on to describe Walk with a Doc. And I frankly was very, very excited to learn about it. And, um, and so the whole idea of getting the profession to work with friends and patients throughout the world, which you've accomplished, to not only talk about healthy living, but to actually make people participate in that by movement, by understanding really a grassroots organization. So I'm just wondering if you might say a few words on how you got this going more than 15 years ago, even though you're a very busy clinician in cardiology.
Well, thank you for the kind words. It means a lot coming from you, Dr. Waxman, and our common friend Jeff shared the same thing about you. And I started Walk with a Doc. Yeah, you're exactly right. 16 years ago, it was born out of my frustration that I was unable to facilitate physical activity in my patients. So I asked one November day if they would be interested in joining my family and I at the park. And we started it for physical activity, and we found out that the social connection component of it was huge and arguably equally important. And we're very fortunate. Here we are in 2021, and we're very excited to be in 575 communities in 37 countries. And our doctors are incredible people that are really determined to make a difference in their communities. So we're very proud of our doctors.
I think it's such an important concept, and you have it in practice. And so it's always difficult to execute an idea, which you're doing successfully. And so what appealed to me was, can this be adapted in the problem of healthy living, aging, and cancer? So we started discussing this. You know, the Samuel Waxman Cancer Research Foundation, which has been around over 45 years now, is committed to trying to understand how gene information breaks down, define the problem in each form of cancer. It's very individual. Everybody's cancer is individual. So it's the information that breaks down may be different in each one. And so we investigate that, and we've formed an international collaboration with 30 different sites throughout the world, as also working with the National Cancer Institute, National Institute of Aging. What has become apparent to me as a clinician was the sad observation that people who had been through cancer once were often getting another cancer as they got older. And the last years of seeing patients, almost everybody that I had treated at one time were coming back with a problem of a new cancer or a recurrence. So that got me thinking about how common is this? And I started looking into this about 6 years ago, and found that not only are we not winning this war against cancer, despite having people living better and being cured of cancer with less toxic treatments, the incidence of cancer is rising. That doesn't really fit well with me. It really drives me crazy. So what is the major factor that we can show this globally? The incidence of cancer is rising because of the aging process. Pretty much what you see in cardiovascular disease, what we see in neurodegeneration diseases. So then I went on to try to determine what's being done about that. And we found that very little research has been done to understand how the aging process increases the incidence of cancer. That linkage can be explored. Despite the obvious need for it and the clinical need for it, there was very little support by the NIH and other governmental agencies to link the two. So to that end, I kind of started pushing the idea of developing collaborations between people working in aging and people working in cancer. And that's something the foundation has been very successful, but not enough, it's just the beginning, to bring together the elements to make that happen. So when I heard about you, you are an ideal foundation to be a partner, a collaborator, because one could talk about now how one can age in a healthy way.
I see that, the data shows 80% of cardiovascular disease, if not more, is entirely preventable. And we know that, fortunately, through a lot of the studies, there have been 13 different cancers, ones that you wouldn't necessarily expect, that are dramatically reduced with physical activity. And we see this as a stone that's unturned, that we can try and make a big difference. So the link between wellness and what you're doing with the Samuel Waxman Cancer Research Foundation is, in my opinion, in our organization's opinion, critically important. And it is a distinct honor to collaborate with you.
So how would you start to think about what would be appropriate from your experience and your organization experience? How could we make it known to people that cancer, like cardiovascular disease, can be mitigated by movement and diet? How would you go about that?
Yeah, it's a critically important message. Obviously, nothing's more serious than cancer. Um, we choose to approach this with, oddly enough, with a little bit of humor, a lot of support, a lot of social connection, bringing people out into nature together, um, and being physically active. And that doesn't have to be, being out of breath and miserable, sweaty, and all that. Just a simple, moderate paced walk can make all the difference. Um, we, I'm, as you are, I'm sick and tired of seeing people lose their lives and seeing the family members mourn over something that's preventable. So if we get this communication out through, our doctors try and, of course, walk the walk, lead by example. Um, they're posting on social media, they're gathering regularly, and they care. They want to make a difference, and it's something that, as you stated, couldn't be more important. And the wonderful thing about physical activity and social connection and appropriate diet is you're taking care of a lot more than cancer and heart disease. You are addressing dozens of other illnesses, from Alzheimer's to arthritis. And that's why our doctors are choosing to lay down on the tracks and make a big difference and commit a little extra time to alter their communities.
That's really the way to look at it. And that's why I'm so excited about our partnership and the first global walk to flatten the curve of cancer. I'd like to maybe talk about that a bit, because this is done in partnership with your organization. And the whole idea is based on what you've been doing for so many years. So maybe we can spend a couple of minutes describing what it's like. I'll just make that introduction, and maybe you can take us through it, because you've been doing this for 16 years. So sometime soon, it's going to begin toward the end of June, and for 10 days, we're going to be having a global walk around the world with enough walkers to bring attention and raise funds to flatten that rising curve of cancer due to aging. And this will be done with collaboration with your chapters and our scientists around the world, and hopefully many other participants. And it's our hope that we can get hundreds, if not thousands of people to make this into an annual event, right? And here where I am in New York, we're going to have, following that 10 days of a walk, and you can describe what a walk can be, David, a celebration of healthy living and a wonderful event here in New York in the Hamptons called the Hamptons Happening. And so could you more or less take us through what that would be like? The walk?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, we need to get funding to your incredible, brilliant research staff so they can treat cancer and ideally even find cures. And I think there's no better way than for us doing this together with with this walk. And, you know, it's not only walking, you can do any type of activity that fits, if it's you know, mowing the grass or skipping rope or even cooking at times. All that activity adds up and fights NASH and so many cancers. So it's a wonderful way to keep track, reward yourself, and in doing so, you know, feed these researchers, these brilliant minds, with what they need to help us all live happier, healthier, and longer lives.
Well, thanks. So this is a 10-day event. It's virtual, but we'll be outdoors doing this. But it can be done in the house. It could be done in a gym. It could be done in your office, and you count the steps on an app, and they add up. And our goal is to have 25,000 miles of movement. And you've done this quite successfully over the years. So I know I'll be walking, and I hope that you'll be joining me on the team, and we can do that together.
Absolutely. It's we've, as you mentioned, we've done this twice. Both have been hundreds and then thousands of people for the second one, and people have loved it. They haven't wanted it to end. And I'm really excited for doing this with you in late June, early July.
Thank you, Dr. Waxman and Dr. Sabgar, for highlighting our partnership again. And thank you to our sponsors and our supporters like you. Sign up today, track your activities. June 30th and July 10th is our starting point, and encourage your friends and your family and your coworkers to donate. So are you ready to help end cancer once and for all? Sign up today at waxmancancer.org/globalwalk. Thanks again so much.